Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Next Up. Today, I want to share with you something that I've been delving into. My wife and I, who's I believe been doing it better than me. I want to talk to you about something that we've been delving into that affects our rest, your sleep, and your rest. Today, I want to talk to you on this topic, your after dark routine. What your routine looks like after dark. You know, one of the amazing things to me is how much out of order I have been with the laws of God that govern health. Though I've been on this journey, if you've been listening to me any length of time, I've been studying this area for 30 years. Well, of course, you don't learn all there is to be learned in the first 3 years, 5 years, excuse me, or 10 years. In other words, life is continual learning. But the thing that I'm loving and admiring as much as anything is that God will help us to align ourselves with his wisdom. In this case, concerning health and wellness. Well, you know, for those of us that are born again, who have given our lives to Christ, we claim salvation. We're now walking with the Lord, learning about him, learning about his kingdom. We understand that from the time you say, I do to God, or you ask Jesus to come into your life, from that point on, it's all about alignment. Jesus said it. He said, look, come and learn of me. Of course, you're never going to stop. So there's always something fresh, something new that we can all learn. So let's get into it. Your after dark routine. All right. Now, I'm going to be making quotes from a study that was done on 89,000 people a few years ago, published by the Journal of the American Medical Association. I want you to hear this very carefully. This study on 89,000 people was produced by the Journal of the American Medical Association concerning what happens to us after the hours of dark. It went on to say the findings were that people were exposed to the brightest, let me back up. The findings say that people exposed to the brightest nighttime light had these conditions. Are you ready? 47% had a higher risk of heart disease. Salah. 56%, excuse me, had a higher risk. No, I'm sorry, 47% had a higher risk of heart attack. 50%, 56% had a higher risk of heart failure. And 28% had a higher risk of stroke. We're talking about after dark routines. Over 13 million hours of data revealed that your exposure to artificial light after dark is quietly destroying your cardiovascular system. You may be as startled, awakened as I was when I read this. I'm going to quote that again. Over 13 million hours of data revealed that your exposure to artificial light after dark quietly destroys your cardiovascular system. Well, what is that saying? It's saying that our hearts need darkness to survive. You see, God really planned it that when the sun goes down, not too long afterwards, we're going to bed. But look at where we are in our world. We're still watching the television. You know, the television used to go off at a certain time. What was around 11 o'clock years ago? The television doesn't go off now. People watch television all night. We're in the face of our cell phones or desktops or laptops for hours into the night, wee hours of the night. We still got these electronics in our faces. And if you're like I just was not conscious of the blue light that comes from these electronic devices. You know, that you can go out there nowadays, I think Walmart and other stores, eyeglass stores, you can get some blue light blockers, blue light blocker glasses. And also you can, on your computer, I think it's called Flux, Flux. You can download this particular app on your cell phone, laptop, iPad that helps to cut down on the blue light coming into our consciousness, our brains. All right. And those are two powerful pieces of information to help us get into the relaxing mode for sleep, to help us cooperate with the body's hormones, biological clock, to help us get ready for such a critical time, very important time that we all need for health and wellness. What is that time? Sleep and rest. Sleep and rest are equal in value to nutrition and exercise. You got to have it. Oh, I look back at my own evolution, and I'm telling you all, I was just all over the place. I was out of whack. I was in violation of these laws that govern good health. So I'd go to bed on average. I'm not saying that we're going to never stay up late, but I would go to bed on average 12:30, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, sometime 2:30, 3 o'clock. You may be doing that now, but my encouragement to you is you want to shift that. Now, it's a different story if you're working night shift. That's a whole nother discussion itself. But if you're not working night shift and you get up and you have an 8 to 5 job or 7 to 2 job, my encouragement to you as a fellow human being, as a brother, go to bed, at least on a regular basis. It makes a difference. Your cognitive ability, your behavior is affected. Your productivity is affected by the quality of your sleep and your rest. All right? So our hearts need darkness to survive. Oh my God. I'm telling you, this stuff so moved me. I'm going to say that again because I need it for Brother Man first, because like I said, I was just out of whack. But I've been practicing it now for some time to get back in alignment with the laws. Don't forget, life is governed by laws. Just like fish are born into water for growth, development, survival, man was born into laws. And when we violate the laws, particularly on a regular basis, we're going to see consequences that we didn't have to see. All right. So this is why when we learn the truth, when we learn what is right or what is truthful, that came from our Creator, we got to seek to, in hurry up form, come into alignment with these laws. You know, you can go out there and you may get by going 10, 15 miles over the speed limit for a little bit because nobody's in the area. But if you keep doing that, it's going to catch up with you. You're going to find yourself with a ticket before a judge asking for a prayerful judgment. Been there, done that. Whereas if we were more conscious of the speed limit or the laws that govern the highways, we could avoid the tickets and the penalties. And in some cases, people have had their license taken for a year, 6 months. I just talked to someone recently, a young man. He's in torment. I think he's maybe 20, 21 years of age, somewhere in that area. He's a Dr. Ellison man. I just recently lost my license for 6 months. And he's in the first month of the 6 months. And I could hear it coming out of him. It was funny. He's like, man, it's like he is just in torment at that age, can't drive, got a license, got a vehicle, and still can't drive. But I can tell you one thing. When he comes out of this 6 months, he will be more conscientious of the laws that govern the highway, the rules or the laws that govern driving, so that way he can keep his license. Well, you know, and you and I have got to take that same approach when it comes down to our health. We don't want something to arrest us that could have been avoided. Again, I get it. We're not perfect, but I'm sharing this so at least you'll have something to think about and work on. Because it's a work in progress. Nobody just jumps from point A to point Z. No, we step there. But you've got to know that there's a point Z up the road or the goal and work toward it on a regular basis. I've been getting better, on the food area, exercise area. Have them down pat. But man, when it was coming down to that sleep, that rest, or my routine after dark, I was still failing. I'd go to the teacher and she would give me an F. Now I'm parabolically speaking, of course. All right. I'd get an F because I was out of compliance, I was out of alignment. So the study goes on to say Western medicine won't tell you that your cardiovascular system operates on a 24-hour clock. Now, I am quoting the Journal of the American Medical Association. They went on to say that blood pressure naturally dips at night. Platelet activation follows a rhythmic flow. Your heart rate, your vascular function, and even how your blood clots all depend on proper day-night cycles. That's where I found out I've got to get into compliance with the day-night cycle that affects my cardiovascular system, that affects me in a lot of other areas too. You'd be amazed at cases where the person said, well, I don't eat a lot of carbohydrates. I don't take a lot of salt. So why is my blood sugar high, my blood pressure high? Could it not be coming from your after dark routine? I can say that was the case with me, and at times, because I'm still working on that, you know. Flood your bedroom. We're giving some good advice now. Flood your, well, wait a minute, I think I'm still bringing out a point here, that the article said, flood your bedroom with light, and that entire system falls apart. People with the brightest nighttime environments that include in those environments, the article is saying, that includes in that environment alarm clocks, TV nightstand lights, street lights that, come through the curtains, and these other little small lights that we put in, in our homes. People with their bedrooms flooded with light had a 32% higher risk of coronary artery disease. But even moderate light exposure pushed the heart attack risk up. Let me say that again. Even moderate light exposure pushed the heart attack risk up 20%. And it went on to say, and heart failure went up 15%. You can eat perfectly, exercise daily, never smoke, and still have elevated cardiovascular risk if you're sleeping with light pollution. So we've got to work at setting the stage, preparing for that most precious time that everybody needs, that time of sleep and rest. You want to prepare the room, prepare the environment. We have in our room a red light and a green light, something that's, dim, to help us go there, help us get in the mode, help us assist the body in that relaxation stage so we can get ready for that revitalizing time, that time of deep sleep. It reminds me of what the scriptures say. This scripture just comes to mind. Deep calls unto deep. Well, if you're going to have deep sleep, where some of your greatest recovery, rejuvenation comes out of those deep sleep hours, I learned years ago that the hours before 12 o'clock are double in the value of the hours after 12 o'clock. So ideally, it's a good thing to get to bed in the bed at least by 10 o'clock. And again, I know we're not going to do this all the time, but if it's nowhere in focus, you don't stand a chance. We don't stand a chance of even getting anywhere close to the mark of great sleep and rest for rejuvenation, for just deep rest that the body needs. The animals know it. They do it. The lions, they do it. The deer, the creatures out there in the wild, they do this. They were wired just like you and I, except those, that are up at late night, looking for a meal, So we've got to prepare ourselves. So get you a light or some lights that help dim things down an hour or two before bedtime. And as I've learned, another thing that we do, I unplug my, I'm looking at it right now, my box, I forget what it's called right at the moment, the box to where come to me, where your internet operates through. I unplug that thing because we're going to sleep at a certain time anyway. So I unplug it, plug it back up the next morning as something to do to help cut down on electric current flowing through the house at night. I want to find that thing and name it. I'm looking at it. I found it, but you know what I'm talking about. That little box that causes you to have internet connectivity. I unplug it. And we have a light that dims the environment, getting us ready for sleep. And girlfriend and I also, some nights we will have eucalyptic oil or lavender oil just going throughout the room, helping us get ready for sleep and rest. Your night light elevates your heart rate and blood pressure around the clock, not just when the light is on. Let me read that again. The article said night light elevates your heart rate and blood pressure around the clock, and not just when the lights are on. So your blood vessels sustain constant damage from the elevated pressure. You see how important it is to tweak your nighttime routine? It's very important because if you don't get rest, it's like you're working 24/7. You wear anything out like that. Inflammation surges while your natural protective mechanisms shut down because of the environment at night again. It went on to say glucose tolerance deteriorates, your heart muscle gradually weakens under the assault of fibrosis, hypertrophy, and impaired contractibility, thus accelerating the heart rate. So what is that saying? Turn the lights off. Our hearts need darkness to relax so we can have recovery, rejuvenation. Lastly, they said that the electrical system, or the article said it, the electrical system in your heart gets confused by conflicting signals about whether it's day or night, therefore increasing the risk of heart disease. So what do we do? Again, prepare for sleep and rest. Start turning the lights down, dimming the lights, getting a green light or a red light or anything that helps the body go into that relaxing mode. Strive to go to bed at least by 10 o'clock, 11 to the latest, because we're about to lose something here. The later we go, of course, we're losing quality hours. In other words, as I shared with you earlier, from research, the better hours are going to be if you can get into bed at 9 o'clock, 8:30. Of course, you're going to get up earlier in the morning, but at least by 10 o'clock as a standard now, because the body tends to go into those deep recesses of sleep between 10 and 2. Or let me say it like this as well, there are hormones released during that time, and you can feel it coming on around that 9 o'clock, 9:30 time. You can feel something beginning to, if you pay attention, something begin to go on in your body, and what's happening is hormones are released to help us go into that relaxing, deep sleep state that we all need. So set the stage is the first piece of advice. Start turning the lights off in some of the rooms. Start dimming the lights. Disconnect these electrical vices. Start moving away from the computers, iPads, cell phones. Get what you call those things where I'm forgetting some of this stuff today. But we've got it. We've got it where we put the, as I mentioned earlier, the eucalyptus oil or the lemon oil or the lavender oil. We put it in this thing that causes the smell to go out. All right. So I just wanted to encourage you with this information from the article so that we really can consider and do what we can do to come into alignment with the laws of God that govern rest. So today we were talking about your night, your after dark routine. What you do after dark that can help you go there in that state of rejuvenation, rest, recovery, that helps you get ready for your tomorrow. I've got to go now. Thank you guys for joining the Next Up podcast, liking, subscribing, and sharing this information because we want everybody to be healthy. It's not God's will that anybody suffer, be in pain. Dear God, particularly from stuff that we have the controls over. You control when you go to sleep, unless you got to work, second shift or third shift. You get to control it. I'll see you next time on Next Up. Have a great rest of your day. God bless.